Welcome back to Irons United's YouTube channel. Tonight we are previewing the Burnley game. West Ham host Burnley on Saturday, having been dragged back towards the Premier League relegation zone after suffering consecutive 4-1 defeats. Not been great, it's not been great. And now West Ham have been dented with some news that we're going to be losing Winston Reid and Sam Byram for the rest of the season. But hey ho, we can always call on Jose Font. Oh shit, no we can't. Sorry, he's gone to China. Anyway, I've been joined by Cess and Richard as well. So, Burnley at the weekend, it's West Ham's first game at home for nearly, if not over 3 weeks. We've got another big gap coming up in April for a big gap for home games. Cess coming off terrible defeats, consecutive losses, and Burnley have not been on great form, although the victory over Everton will give them a little bit of confidence. Fill me in on a little bit of Burnley and what your thoughts are.
I just know about Burnley. They are a very, very organised, well-drilled side, especially like under Sean Dyche. I think Sean Dyche is a really, really good manager. He's got them playing well. With the team that he's got, he's used his resources, and I feel that he's done very, very well. The fact that they're 5 points behind Arsenal, that's saying something as well, which is a bit crazy. And also with was it 10 games without a win, and they were still 7th?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
It's
crazy like that.
I know. Also, they got like very, very good centre backs like Tarkowski and Ben Mee. They've looked like solid together. They've got Aaron Lennon as well, which is not going to be great.
Cess, even before you go there, talk to me about Burnley's defence. You mentioned something before we came on about their defence.
Oh yeah, I think that with them, I think they could possibly with English centre backs, they could actually be in a run in for like. I know I'm being crazy, but maybe an England call up for a friendly or something.
I agree with you.
You never know, because if you look at centre backs, really, none of them have really stood out. I don't think Cahill stood out. I don't think Stones. He's had an all right season, I say. Keane's not really stood out either. Smallings, he's been a bit up and down. Jones is he was being decent, but then he got injured as well. So if you can really look at the lower sides. I think that them two have been really, really good in terms of centre backs.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think about that in terms of.
I mean, another player you did mention there was the rejuvenated Aaron Lennon. Rich, what are your thoughts on Aaron Lennon under Sean Dyche's Burnley?
Well, what we do know is just got blistering pace, and I think everyone's going to have his hands full on Saturday because, as I mentioned earlier, Lennon's pace is just unbelievable. I thought he was a very good player at Spurs, went to Everton, struggled a bit, and he's, as you said, been rejuvenated under Sean Dyche at Burnley. But I think they've got the likes of Chris Wood as well, who we were looking at in the transfer market before he went to Burnley. Ashley Barnes has been popping up with some goals, so they've got threats. If we're not at our best on Saturday, they could definitely cause us problems. And I've pinpointed the Burnley game, the Stoke game, the Southampton game, and if we don't get points from those games, we're in big, big trouble. So, yeah, just fingers crossed we can get over the line on Saturday. It's going to be tough, though.
I mean, Cess, we've been going back and forth all season. We've had, I don't know how many must-win games. We're now down to
I think it's like our 5th or 6th.
Yeah, we're down to the results end of the season. It's making things, I mean, it's scarily tight at the bottom. We're in grave danger of getting relegated 9 games from now. I mean, we could be a championship club, and that's just going to be a disaster for our club. We're not going to go into any politics about West Ham, social media sites, fans, etc., all that kind of stuff. We're not going to get involved in that stuff tonight. Tonight's all about West Ham. What is it that, I mean, something I've said before is West Ham seem to go through ups and downs, and we're just painting over and covering the cracks. We have come off 2 big losses. We've conceded 8 goals over the last 2 games. Is this our bounce back game? Or do we genuinely...
Mate, I genuinely hope so, because the amount of games I've gone to, especially away games, some of them have been absolutely diabolical. I'm so glad I missed Swansea because I feel for the people that went, because that was probably one of the worst first halves I've ever seen this season.
Yeah.
It was just lackluster. It was just, oh god, it was just a nightmare. It was a nightmare to watch.
But after the Watford game, I genuinely thought we'd be fine, and I genuinely thought we'd be looking at finishing around top 10, and I didn't for the life of me think that we'd capitulate like we did against a team like Swansea. With all due respect to them, they've been a shambles for a large part of the season. Yes, Carvalho's come in and done a good job, but for us to get battered 4-1 to a side in and around us is very dangerous, because when you're losing to teams like Swansea by that margin, it doesn't say a lot about the team, doesn't say a lot about the squad. But as you said, Ant, this is a game where we have to bounce back, and we've said it time and time again. But I've got a feeling we'll get something against Burnley. I think the players know that it's a must-win, and hopefully with Ogbonna and Collins coming back to fill the void left by Reid, we can get something.
Well, we just mentioned it. We know Winston Reid and Sam Bayer are out for the season. We are short. We've been short all season with our squad. I mean, it's there's no question about it. We never purchased the relevant players. We took risks. We got rid of Font after the transfer window had closed to China, and I mean, we're relying a lot on James Collins again, big ginger Collins and big ginger Pelly. I mean, Sis, how much more can this guy take in terms of games? Listen, I'll give him his due. He's got 2 or 3 games in him in a row, but he needs a rest, and we're relying too much on him, and this is my biggest concern, specifically even more so coming up against Burnley, because you mentioned it before we came on. Describe Burnley's, how they set up.
Just very, very, very physical. Very physical, especially they're gonna. So I remember Burnley away, we talked about how they whipping in balls in the box, air balls, set pieces. They love all that. Look at what they did against Everton over the weekend. How they bounced back over that. If you don't mark someone like Chris Wood, then free header, boom, it's a goal, easy, just like that. He's just a threat there.
Yeah, and Rich, what about you?
Yeah, definitely. As Seth mentioned, they're going to be very compact. Dyche is very defensively sound. He's got his team set up very well like that. But as Seth mentioned, I thought at Burnley we should have won. We definitely should have won that game. The equaliser we conceded wasn't good enough, and I think we actually deserved to win the game because we'd weathered a storm. But obviously Chris Wood popped in with a goal. And we're going to have to watch out for them whipping in balls, because as Cesar said, Wood is decent in the air. Ashley Barnes is a terrier in the box. He'll play off any drop-down ball that Wood wins. So yeah, we're going to have to be on our toes, because that Burnley side will not give us a minute's rest, a second's rest on the ball. They're going to be at us from the get-go. They know we're struggling, so they're going to go to the London Stadium full of confidence. And I think all teams seem to go to the London Stadium full of confidence. But must-win game.
It seems to me, though, we come up against teams and there's always a player within that team that's either got some form of connection, whether they've previously played for us or we have been chasing them for all summer or all season, and then all these players come back to bite our arse. And you mentioned there was Gray for Burnley, and for me, I was a big fan of him. I was a big fan of him in terms of, would I have signed him for £12 million? Absolutely yes, because that is the new lower priced striker in the Premier League. So he would have been, in my opinion, the Jordan Hugo of our team just now, although probably coming on a lot more and getting a lot more chances. Maybe I'm doing him an injustice, But I mean, talking of him, is Jordan Hugo going to get a chance anytime soon, Sis? I mean, remember, we gave up Upton Park for the same price that we bought Jordan Hugo. When you do the comparisons, that's a hurtful comment.
Madness.
Oh man, I think he'll come on as an impact player, I'd say, but starting wise, I highly doubt that's going to happen, because you have to start Hernandez, surely.
Well then, on that, let's go for the up front. Hernandez was dropped against Liverpool, brought back into the team against Swansea. To be fair, for me, his momentum had dropped. What would you do? Who would you play up top?
I'll play Hernandez up top and then have Antonio one side and Artvich the other side, Lanzini in middle. That's how I would set up as my attack.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I would do it.
And who are you dropping for that? Because there's a lot of rumours.
Because Moyes played 2 CDMs with Czech and Robes in the middle, and Lanzini out wide and Arnie out wide, and then Hernandez up top. So if Antonio plays, someone's got to be dropped, as Ant has mentioned. I've got a sneaky feeling that he'll play Antonio and Arnautovic, and Hernandez will get dropped. I don't know if Moyes fancies Hernandez, but I'd love Hernandez to play.
I've just got a really weird suspicion that Kouate's going to get dropped for this game.
That's what I was thinking, and have like João Mario play beside Noble. That's what I was thinking.
That could work, yeah.
I just think
what I was thinking.
it's getting to results end of the season, and do you know what? Kouate's been playing a lot better over the past maybe few months or whatever, but the last 2 games you can't really.
I can't defend.
You can't defend anybody really. There's no one.
He was nowhere against Swansea.
Yeah,
probably one of the worst games I've seen him play.
And an interesting fact that came out from it was that David Moyes' 18 games in charge is equal to the amount of Slaven Bilic's last 18 games in charge. Do we read anything into that, Cess?
I didn't even really read into it until you just said it. I didn't until you literally just said it. I didn't really read into it, to be quite honest.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the stats, basically Bilic has the same amount in his last 18 games at West Ham. If you look at the 18 games that Moyes has had in charge of West Ham, it's the exact same. Played, won, draw, lost, the exact same amount of games. Does that show us progression?
Did we concede more? Just in curiosity.
That's a good stat. You've put me under pressure there. We haven't got that. We haven't got those figures.
I definitely think we're more of a threat going forward under Moyes. I just felt under Bilic it just got so toxic. We just couldn't spring passes together. We couldn't. We weren't that counter-attacking threat that we have under Moyes. And until a few games ago, I thought Moyes had actually done a decent job, and his points tally was actually looking quite good. Now these 2 results have sort of muddied the waters a bit. But I just feel like under Moyes we just a bit more compact, and we have that counter-attacking threat that we just didn't have under Bilic. We just look clueless under Bilic.
Yeah.
The problem is really that I just feel that we've been found out now. I think that it's worked a few times with Moyes' tactics, but now it's got a bit predictable. It's like we get the ball.
That is West Ham. That is West Ham, though.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's just like literally get the ball centre back. We're just like punting it. It's no different to like Big Sam's tactic.
Yeah.
It's no different really. It's just like bang, just punting it straight to the Lanzini and Hernandez who's trying to win air balls. That's what it really has been.
And does that not worry you? Or I suppose it does worry us all. But when you think,
of course it does. Of course it worries me.
When you think about West Ham as a whole and moving forward and progressing as a football club, you've got to think about the core of our team. If you can remember back, we needed to get rid of a lot of dead wood. Maybe under Avram Grant, we needed to get rid of a lot of dead wood under Gianfranco Zola. We did it, but we seemed to replace it with more dead wood. So we replaced deadwood with deadwoods, and then it just kept building up.
And then find more deadwood, and then put it on top of the deadwood.
Yeah. and for me, where a lot of people always talk about investment in the summer, I honestly don't think £100 million is enough. I really don't think in our squad. I think it needs a full-blown overhaul. I would take it, but I can pretty much guarantee that every other team is going to go into the transfer market already one step ahead of us from the last couple of transfer windows.
Of course,
and we're going to be left behind again. 100 mil is not enough to take us even remotely to Europe, unless it's going to be the craziest season next year where the bottom 13 teams are going to fight it out for the last European space. You know what I mean? It's just frustrating. Really, it's just frustrating. But Burnley are coming in there. They've not been on great form. They've beat Everton. Comments coming in saying people are watching Burnley against Everton last week and they have amazing togetherness, true grit and determination. Is that something we lack, Richard?
I think so. If you look at the Swansea game, they just wanted it way more than we did. They bullied us. And unfortunately, I think we knew what we were getting ourselves into. You go into Swansea, you know they're fighting for their lives. You've got to step up to the plate and fight as a side ourselves. And we didn't do that, and that frustrated me a lot. And another thing that frustrates me is everyone's going, yeah, let's just stay up and we'll invest in the summer and it'll all be good next season. We've been saying that for the last 2 seasons now. I think what's going to change next season? If we keep saying, yeah, let's just stay up, and then we'll invest in the squad and then it'll be better next season, that frustrates me because we've done that 2 seasons in a row and look where we are now, no better off. But yeah, I think we are lacking a bit of togetherness. I know West Ham social media sites seem to think that we are the most together side there is on the planet, and the players are going to come back to life in the next game. They're going to give their all. But to be fair, I don't care how we play in training. I want to see us do well on the pitch. I don't care if they give 100% in training. I want to see our team give 100% on the pitch. And if the Swansea game's anything to go by, we definitely lack togetherness because they battered us. They wanted more than we did, and we were rightly defeated in the end.
And a player I want to bring up just now is Antonio. There's a lot of talk about people saying that he just looks disinterested when he's playing for our club. Cess, what's your take on that? I've had my opinion on him previously. What's your take on Antonio?
It's a weird one because he's been getting a lot of criticism as of late. It just seems that, especially something to do with his attitude, apparently, because people have been pointing that out, like, oh, his attitude stinks, etc. He's just not really interested. Saying about his fitness, not really fit at all, which has been like a problem with him for like, what's it like the past couple of months now?
Yeah.
Even now, like, does he seem fully fit to you?
He's not himself, and he just looks he looks bulky. He just looks like he's put on a bit of pounds. He's not the pacey player we know he can be. Yeah, and I think I agree with you, Cess. There's just something he's not right. I don't think he's fully fit. I still don't think he's fully fit. He hasn't properly recovered from his injury.
Does his fitness fall upon him, or does that fall upon the way that West Ham try and bring these players back? So my example of this will be Manuel Lanzini was missing for what, 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks?
Yeah.
His first game back against Liverpool, such a pacey game, going to be difficult opposition, and he's in the starting lineup. And was he brought off in the last 10 minutes, if that? And what are West Ham doing with this whole policy of bringing these players back to fitness? I mean, is that something that worries you, Cess?
It definitely does, because sometimes it just bites us back in the arse, because we seem to like get a player back and they get fucking injured again.
Yeah.
Example, Reid. Look, he's out for the rest of the season. It's just like, fuck, Byram out for the rest of the season. It's just we can't even catch a break, and our squad is so thin.
It's really thin.
It's really thin.
And that's not even an exaggeration.
It's filling in his earphones right now.
Yeah, it's really thin.
The reason we're throwing them back in so soon is just because we're desperate. We genuinely are desperate. We don't have a thick enough squad to compensate for that. We've got the likes of Marcus Brown coming on the bench now. Our bench against Swansea had 3 youngsters, Byram. So we're just desperate for players, and as soon as they come back, we seem to just throw them straight back in. And as Seth said, they just get injured straight away because they're not ready.
Last 2 games, Adrian has conceded 8 goals, and it brings up a very interesting topic of the whole debate of our goalkeeper. We have Joe Hart in the wings, desperate for his chance to prove that not just for his club, but that the World Cup's coming up, and he wants to prove that he can go there and he can still be England's #1. Cess, 2 questions to you. Would you start Joe Hart? And do you think David Moyes will start Joe Hart?
Put me on the spot there, really. To be honest, I think you could give Adrian one more chance. Something in my head's thinking he will just give him one more chance. Despite he's conceded 8 goals in 2 games. Just something in me just says, oh, you know what? I'll give you one more chance. See how it goes. And if it doesn't really go well, then he'll drop him for Joe Hart. That's what I think, personally.
What do you think Moyes will do?
I think, like I said, Moyes will pay Adrian. He won't start Hart, I don't think.
Rich?
That's something yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Adrian's done enough wrong, really, to be dropped. I don't see the point in bringing Hart back now. Adrian's had a few decent games, and yeah, he struggled in the last few. But yeah, I just feel like he commands the defence better. Fans love him. He loves the club, and I personally think Joe Hart's not going to start in the World Cup anyway. So
I think he's under threat for the World Cup.
Yeah, definitely. I think
he's under threat, to be honest.
Butland, Pickford, Pope have all been playing decently. So,
but you need to think of one thing. What you need to think about as well is if there's going to be any player in our squad that's desperate to play, I honestly believe he's probably going to be the most desperate player to play, whether that's for his own personal gain. Now, he will be, as any normal professional footballer will be, knocking on Moyes' door. He will be sending Moyes subliminal messages. He will be just changing the scenarios, convincing.
Mate, he's going to suck up to him so much.
He's going to suck up to him in training. He's going to make.
He's going to wash his car. He's
going to make some decent saves in training, and he's going to turn over to Moyes and he's going to go like that. and every single thing he's going to do, and he's going to go like that. Last 2 games, 8 goals, all that kind of stuff. I have a really, really, really weird suspicion that Moyes is going to drop Adrian for this game, because he needs a reaction. He needs a reaction, and I tell you something, Moyes has stated from the beginning, once players start to maybe make mistakes or don't give their all, or not that they're giving their all, we can't deny that Adrian hasn't made mistakes over the last 2 games, because at Liverpool in particular, and he done it last week. He was running out that box. He was doing stuff that was like what Joe Hart used to do. And I'm not saying he deserves to be dropped, because I would prefer Adrian over Hart. I just have that suspicion that Moyes is going to drop him because he has made mistakes, and if he goes by his own policy, then Hart will start with 9 games to go, and it gives, like, what's he got to lose? Everything. Has he got, yeah, you know, everything. But
we'll go by your conspiracy theories. We'll go over that.
Just something to watch. You've heard it here first. Maybe you've heard it in other ones, I don't know, but you've heard it here first. I honestly think that Hart's going to start over Adrian. Do I want that? No. What do I think Moyes will do? That's what I think he'll do. Like we've mentioned, we've got Ginger Pelly back. It looks like Ogbonna's potentially going to be back for the game, which is positive. He's played well, considering it's been our shit season, and he's looking like hot favourite potentially for Hammer of the Year, but I don't know if I want to be Hammer of the Year.
Ant's favourite.
Yeah. The next big issue before we kind of start to close off this preview is our wing-back situations. You've mentioned Aaron Lennon, he's going to be on the attack. I'm going to give him his due. Patrice Evra, I thought's been actually decent. I can't. Yeah. He's probably been, in my opinion, one of the better players out of the shit games we've just played. And Sess, you're shaking your head. Go for it.
No, I disagree with that. I think,
go for it. Tell me why. Go.
I don't think he's been good. I don't think Evra has been good since he's started. I think most of the time he's been getting absolutely roasted. He's been getting roasted. He got roasted at Liverpool. Again, he can't keep up the pace, really. He just gets caught out a lot. He gets caught out a lot.
Yeah.
And I think if we play wing, I thought Moyes would have learned against Liverpool. Don't put him against pacey wingers like Salah and Mane. But it's with them as wing backs that they can't handle it. They just get caught out. We're just ending up just out of position and everything. But it's.
I think he's been decent. I think he's been decent. You know, he's got the experience, of course, and he actually has more pace than people give him credit for, because he's not as slow as Zabaleta. He's got a bit about him. I thought in the Liverpool game, he came on, kept the ball. Well, he started actually, kept the ball decently well. I think he'll be okay. I think he'll be okay for us, and he's the only option we really have right now, because you could push Cresswell there, but then someone like Ginge or Ogbonna's would have to come in, and I don't think it's the time, really. I think Ogbonna's got to come back. I'd rest Ginge. I don't think he's ready to play straight away again. But I think Evra's been decent. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think potentially that he's new to the side. He's older. He's getting quite a big wage packet, and a lot of people seem to be. And I'm not trying to say I'm always going to dig out Zabaleta, but he's probably on the same level Parnas in terms of how slow he is at getting back and tracking back for our side. And again, as you've seen, Cess, and as we all seen, Rich and everyone who watched the Liverpool game and the Swansea game, every team just attacks those 2 wing backs all the time. If they can't pass the ball through our defence, which a lot of them seem to be doing, they're pinging the balls to the corners, knowing that their wing backs are going to go through our wing backs, no problem at all, and then they're cutting in and they've got a chance on goal. And that's where our biggest fault stems from, and that's why I do think having Sam Byram missing for the rest of the season is reasonably disastrous, because if something happens to Zabaleta, then where are we at? I mean, if something happens to any of our players, where are we at? That's the biggest concern.
Probably Moyes will put Antonio right back. Just a fucking
You know what, I'd honestly have Antonio there over Byram. And I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but I just think Byram has been awful. I genuinely think he's been awful. I watched him against Swansea, giving the ball away, out of position, can't control the ball. I honestly don't know what his buzz is, but he hasn't been good. Hasn't been good enough. And I don't think he's good enough. I don't think Byram's good enough. I know he's still young. I'll give him time. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But from what I've seen this season, he hasn't been good enough. Even last season, he struggled.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. What do you guys reckon?
Do you know what, Rich? What game were we watching and we were talking about it? And I'm sure we done a preview or review after it. And I thought Byram had a decent game. I don't know if it was a Watford game. Maybe I'm trying to remember. I can't even remember.
I think it might have been.
Yeah. I think Byram's got something to offer. Would I get rid of him in the summer? Absolutely not. Because worst case scenario, I think he's a good backup. And I think he's going to be he's affordable backup, if that makes any sense. So if they want to go and invest the money elsewhere, they can. Whether they'll do that is a different ballgame. But it's a tough one because we've got so many players in our squad, and we know what our board are like and where the investment's probably not going to come from. But if we move on, I suppose, and it comes down to really at the end of the day, Cess, give me your man to watch from Burnley. Your threatening man from Burnley.
Has to be Chris Wood. if he starts, has to be Chris Wood.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. Why? What's he? What gives him a threat, and what's he going to do to our defence?
Just be an absolute fucking nuisance. That's what he's going to be. Just try and bully centre backs. Just aerial threat. Just holds the ball up well. He's a very, very physical player. Yeah.
He reminds me of a younger, maybe better ability, younger version of Glenn Murray. He's just a nuisance.
Yeah.
He's decent.
Yeah.
He's a decent baller with the ball at his feet. He's good in the air, very good in the air, and he always predicts the cross coming in, so he runs onto the ball all the time, and it's always powerful headers that he seems to score. So yeah, definitely someone I'll feel. What about you, Rich?
Yeah, I agree. I think him and Barnes together, they come as a duo. Wood's going to win the balls in the air, and Barnes is going to be almost like Hernandez if we had a tall striker to partner him. That type of terrier in the box, I just feed off anything really that drops to his feet. So yeah, those two. Goodmanson's also decent on the left hand side. He'll be whipping in crosses. So yeah, I think those will definitely be the men to watch out for.
Yeah,
and set pieces. They're centre backs.
And definitely, Cess, when it comes to West Ham, whose time is it to shine?
Hopefully Arnautovic.
Yeah.
Hopefully Arnautovic.
Yeah.
His time to shine. Yeah. Just get back on the score sheet. Yeah.
What about you, Rich?
It's Arnie's party on Saturday.
Yeah.
He's gonna come back, gonna give us a little bit of his dance moves, do the cross hammers. Yeah, I can see it. Maybe Chicharito.
That's my man. That's my man. That's my man.
I just love Arnautovic. I just love how much he's just a bastard. Like I love
him.
Yeah.
All I can say, I love him.
He's really turned the season around dramatically, and as long as Chicharito starts, just put that ball in the box and he'll be the end of it. And I think this is a prime example of where West Ham just want to see. Do you know what? See, for the 9 games that we've got left, we need consistency within our team. Something we've not had for a long time is consistency, and we need that more than ever now for these 11 players that are going to start week in and week out for the next 9 games. We know it's not going to happen, to be the regular team, so they get familiar with themselves. It's going to be tough, but for me, Chicharito needs to stay in that side. And I think Chicharito's downfall for the last game was because he was dropped against Liverpool. That's my personal opinion. But
yeah, I mean, it doesn't help. It doesn't help when you've scored 3 and 4 and then you get dropped. That's not going to help your confidence.
Yeah, it just dents it completely.
Yeah.
The only thing he can do to show Moyes what he's about is to go and put in a performance against Burnley and get us goal and get us a win. Yeah. That's the only thing. That's the only way he's going to shut Moyes up and show him what he's capable of.
Cess,
predictions.
Go on, son.
Mate. do you want me to lie to you, or do you want the honest truth?
Just go for it, mate.
I'll be honest with you. I think we're going to lose 2-1. There's something in me. Something in me. Sorry to be so negative, but just something in me just says they're just going to fucking nick it. Just late on. 2-1 Burnley. I'm sorry. Can
you lie to us now?
Lie to us. 3-1.
Right, 3-1 West Ham.
Yeah.
Richard.
I always try to be positive, and it comes back to bite me in the ass. Wow. Screw it. I'm gonna go 2-1. We'll concede a goal, but the bastard Arnautovic is gonna get 2. Chicharito can wait. Chicharito will get a goal another week, but the bastard's gonna get 2, and he's gonna be unbelievable.
I am going to go for a 2-0 West Ham win. I'm going
Clean
to go for a 2-0. Yeah, I'm going for a clean sheet. Do you know what?
Ooh, wow.
I've predicted. I've predicted one.
You never shipped in 8 goals in 2 games. You know that, right?
Yeah. Do you know what? Joe Hart's going to come in and he's going to be the saviour of West Ham.
And we should actually document like what predictions we've made, because I swear we've literally got almost everyone wrong.
Yeah, well, I actually think I've got 1 right, and that's it.
I've got 1 right, I think.
I'm sure I've got 1 right.
It's been a.
Although my predictions have been
If I get my
crazy.
prediction right, I think people are going to get the hate comments. It's like, fuck you, Seth. You know,
Yeah.
like this, that. Like,
Yeah.
Where's his Twitter at? You bastard.
So,
Yeah.
listen, obviously we've been live tonight. We know there's loads of other stuff happening in the West Ham world, but at the end of the day, you were brought into this world as a West Ham fan. So support our club, whatever happens. We don't. If you support the owners, you're allowed to. You're entitled to your own opinion. If you don't support the owners, you're allowed to. You're entitled to your own opinion. If you like social media, you're allowed to. You're allowed your own opinion. If you don't like it, you're allowed to. So your own opinion. I won't keep repeating that because it's a little bit boring. But the whole point of this message is, we are West Ham. We were either told or brought into the world to be West Ham fans, and we back our club, our colour, our crest. It's in our blood. We bleed claret and blue. It's there. It's always there, and we need to turn up to this game on Saturday, and we need to, as fans, back that side. Whether you back that stadium or not, whether you back that board or not, whether you back that manager or not, and whether you back some of the players or not, you back that side collectively as a unit. And we need to be the 12th man. We need to be the 12th man, all right, 12th men, 12th women, 12th kids, 12th whatever. We need to be there, and we need to give the West Ham everything we possibly can. So we need to park everything. We need to stop this infighting. Although it's just all bullshit. It's just all bullshit.
It's a mess. It's just.
I'm tired of it. Really,
I'm tired of it.
Yeah, and it's
we
time.
all need to unite, man. We all need to like just stick together.
Cess, do you know what we need to? Do you know what we need to be?
Yeah.
Irons United.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah.
I like what you did there.
So,
cheeky one.
Listen, if you have enjoyed this, please make sure you click the button for the thumbs up. Put some comments in below. Follow Cess on Twitter, Cess in Damana. We'll get the comments in below. Richard Fasten at Rich Fasten. And myself at Irons United, Irons123, I think it is. Get commenting below, let us know what's happening. More competitions coming up. And again, to reiterate what Luke said last night, fantastic news regarding Isla. Please make sure you keep donating to get as much help as you possibly can. We are a West Ham family, and we're going to support her as much as we possibly can. So get behind West Ham, and fingers crossed we get the 3 points. He's been Cess, he's been Rich, I've been Anton. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.